Hi, this is Summer. Welcome to the first session of Calligraphy with CulturedGen. We can't wait to immerse you into the fascinating world of Chinese calligraphy. But first, I want to share with you the intent behind creating this calligraphy experience and also give you an overview of the 3 sessions that you're about to embark on with us. Given all of the uncertainties surrounding this global pandemic, we realize that taking care of ourselves and our well-being is more important than ever. We know through our work at CulturedGen that there's so much we can gain from the ancient practice of Chinese calligraphy. But for many reasons, being the language barrier, the lack of the proper tools or materials, or even just a lack of exposure, all of these have prevented many people from truly understanding or experiencing the revelatory effect of Chinese calligraphy. So as we put together this experience, we wanted to remove the 2 biggest barriers that prevent others from experiencing calligraphy. One being the inaccessibility to materials or tools, and second being the language skills. We want everyone to be able to experience Chinese calligraphy with or without the brush or the paper or the ink. Even if you don't write Chinese characters, you should still be able to enjoy the motion, the breathing, the mindfulness of calligraphy by focusing on the basic fundamental elements, the 8 basic strokes, which is what we will go through in the first session. The second session is really all about your space, your surrounding. How do we create a space that is conducive for relaxation, that can help us in our practice of mindfulness and meditation? Again, if you don't have the right brush, the right tools, the paper, the ink, the second session will also share with you how we can curate our own tools and equipments with everyday items that we can find around us. And the last but not least, the live session. That is where the magic happens. We will convene as a group, as a community, and we will build upon things that we've discussed and shared or learned in the first 2 sessions and create a 1-hour practice or an exercise where we connect our mind, our body, and our soul through the practice of creating our own symbol using the 8 basic strokes. Now, I'm really excited to get started. I hope you are too. So let's get on to our first session. We can't talk about calligraphy without mentioning Hanzi. Hanzi constitutes the oldest continuously used system of writing in the world today. Hanzi was created in the ancient time as a form of documentation and communication. It traces back to a form of pictograph found in the ancient oracle bones. Now, calligraphy is the art of writing Hanzi. But strictly speaking, calligraphy is a practice that involves the use of a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. Together, they're known as the 4 treasures of the study. Calligraphy is therefore a very distinctive art within Chinese culture, and it has over 3,000 years of history. But over the course of its history, calligraphy has evolved from a functional practice to an ornamental work of art. Calligraphy presents the beauty of Hanzi, and it also defines the uniqueness of Chinese aesthetics. Today, modern application of calligraphy goes far beyond just pure aesthetics. Apart from being calligraphers' avenue for self-expression, calligraphy has also shown to be a very valuable medium for the practice of mindfulness, introspection, and meditation. So now, let us introduce you to the fundamental elements of Chinese calligraphy, the 8 basic strokes, or in Chinese, Bihua.
Bihua or stroke is the smallest unit in Hanzi. You can also think of it as the shortest continuous line. There are tens of thousands of Hanzi, but they all formed by 8 basic strokes. Besides the aesthetic influence of the era, calligraphers inject their own interpretation, temperament, and emotions into writing their strokes. It is this unique interpretation that culminates into their own unique calligraphy style. Putting language aside, we believe that when you can fully understand the basic strokes, you begin to understand the foundation of calligraphy. With your own interpretation of this stroke, you too can use them as a form of expression. There are many ways to interpret and write these 8 basic strokes. In a way, it is like to understand their innate characteristics before infusing them with your own personality and interpretation. Dian is a dot. It is the smallest stroke of all. It may look small, but it can represent complex emotions. Sometimes it resembles the agility of a bird making a swift landing. Other times, it is like a piercing eye. I like to write Dian with a light dab from the tip of my brush. Others may choose to write a vertical Dian. With a little wing. With a pause. With a long drag. Or a horizontal one. Among the different variations of Dian, I'm attracted to the starness of this one. Perhaps it represents the peak of the Tang Dynasty, portraying a sense of confidence and stability. Heng is a horizontal line. Writing Heng is like reading a horse. It is all about balance and control. In calligraphy, you often see Heng with a light body and heavy size, putting emphasis on the beginning and the end. What you may also notice is a slight upward tilt on the right side. This is to create our optical illusion and to create a relative balance in the stroke and the overall structure of the character. If you think of Hanzi as an ecosystem, the horizontal line is a connector of different elements, therefore maintaining the balance within the system. Stylistically speaking, Heng can be long or short. It can be tailed upward, downward, or even slightly curved. Almost every Hanzi comes with a Heng, but my favorite one to practice has got to be sign number 3. If you look closely at each of the Heng, they are different in thickness and length. The top one is rounded, second is light, and the third is long with a pose at the end. What you are saying is 3 similar yet different Heng complementing each together to create a well-balanced structure. Shu is a vertical line that resembles a pillar. To me, it is a stroke that represents the strength and the sport. Writing Shu is like pulling the bowstring in archery. You start slow. When you have your eyes set on the end, you move swiftly while you're holding your posture. Shu is a stroke that requires focus and stability. How you write your Shu depends on the overall composition of the character. It may have a long extended finish or curved at the end. Shu can also have a slant towards the left or right, and even a slightly bend. I like Shu written with liveliness, just like this one. It may not be a proper straight line because of the slight bend on the top of the stroke, but somehow it balances the rest of the stroke with a unique sense of agility. Pier resembles a movement of a stretch. Pier is usually accessory of Hanzi. It may not take on a central role, but it sure gives the character more personality. Because of the sense of freeness it portrays, Pier has many ways of presenting itself. Apart from length and thickness, Pier can go in different directions. The most flamboyant version of Pier is the one that resembles the leaves of a pandan plant. Pier embodies both rationality and emotions. Here is my favorite interpretation of Pier. One of the 2 simple strokes in this character, which means people or human, Pier gives out a sense of motion, even as it balances the opposing stroke, which is what I'm introducing next. Na resembles the movement of a throw. It usually holds the center role in Hanzi. Throw is distinct transition from thin to thick. It presents a flow of energy from one end to the other. It resembles the flow of the river towards the sea. What makes Na distinctive lays in the final touch. You can write it upright, spread it out, with a slight curve upwards, circle it back. Reverse downwards. Or long and wavy. Na is the most complicated stroke. My favorite na is one that is neat and clean. It's keeping a sense of boldness and confidence. T resembles the movement of a subtle lift or a light toss. It also reminds me of a woodpecker picking on the tree. To me, T is a stroke that represents carefreeness. The variation of T largely lays on the length and angles. There's one with a very subtle lift, making it almost look like a Dian. And there are longer versions. Depending on your speed, it could either become extended T or a slanted T. How T is written can offer great insight into the psyche of the calligrapher. Here is one example that embodies both a sense of stability of the Tang Dynasty as well as the freedom and openness of the Wei Jing era. Zhe is a combination of a horizontal and vertical line, connecting with a turn. It must be complete in one stroke without lifting the brush. Zhe reminds me of the tiles on the roof, instrumental in upholding the overall structure of the character. Broadly speaking, there are three main ways of writing Zhe. One with a smooth turn, a sharp turn, and a perfect 90-degree turn. The way Zhe is written may contain subtle and implicit meanings. Visually speaking, the upward slant of this Zhe creates an overall balance of the character. Metaphorically, it represents a sense of inner calmness amidst the external changes. Go resembles the shape of a hook. It usually points towards the direction of the following strokes. In that sense, Go is like a guide, a lighthouse, or an anchor that guides you home. Go is a stroke with many variations. It can be small and subtle, or long and conspicuous. It can be flat or curled. As a Chinese designer, I often ponder upon how to balance the use of traditional versus modern techniques to achieve creative design. I get a lot of inspiration from the work of this calligrapher. in his interpretation of this character, which means the heart, he was able to bring his own style into traditional calligraphy techniques. To me, the goal here conveyed a sense of freedom and relief.
Now that you've met the 8 basic foundational elements of calligraphy, which one is your favorite? What is your unique interpretation of them? Also, try writing them out and share with us by tagging CulturedGen on Instagram. In our next session, we will talk about creating a space for relaxation and also share tips on curating a set of basic tools for our upcoming live session. See you soon!